Devin, I hope you get Free People next. I'm manifesting it for you because I saw one of your people in your agency got it, and I was like, well, it's gonna happen for you. Do you have a Dick's Sporting Goods in Arizona?
Yeah.
Then it's happening.
Was it through Dick's?
That's the thing that's like that I just like, just because people in my agency get a deal doesn't mean I'm gonna get one. And that's what's been like affecting me the most, is that I see especially the people in my agency getting brand deals and me getting zero. And that's like, whenever I see that, it's like a punch in the gut. Like, yeah.
I feel like this one's like easier or closer because you just did that Free People try on haul.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
They're gonna come crawling back, and you're gonna be like, sorry.
I think so.
It's now $100,000 to partner with me, and not just $10,000. So, jokes on you.
I think the brands aren't seeing like the full scope of who you are and what you do. Still,
yeah. And I'm hoping one day that will all catch up. But like, I took this weekend off. I like am feeling so burnt out. What's weird is now getting back to it. It's giving me so much anxiety because I took such a long break. And like, even before getting on and recording this, like, I just felt anxious for some reason. So like I don't really
you're just
know
anxious
what's going
because
on.
you have to ramp back up to what you did before.
Yeah, because I have to start working. It's like Sunday scaries, like,
yeah.
And whenever I think about like posting on Instagram or creating content, like I just feel like dread about it. So I was like, I need to take time off because I'm hating this right now. But then like coming back to it, it still feels that way. So
did you stay off Instagram, or were you still like,
for the most part?
Because I feel like sometimes when I say I'm taking a break, but then like I still scroll somewhat, and then it makes me more sad because then I'm like watching other people do what I should be doing rather than actually letting myself fully take a break and rest. And
I do that with like content styles. Like I really want to keep working on different vlogs and seeing like what works best for me. And then when I see people just like killing it with vlogs, I'm like, fuck, like I need to be doing that. But it's like so much harder. Maggie, on your weekends off, do you like not open up the app, or do you still open up the app?
Well, I'm like kind of bad at it recently. I do open it, but I always feel my best when I don't, like when I'm not looking at it, or just like when I at least let go in my head of like I shouldn't, like I am taking a break. I don't need to be doing something.
Yeah.
But also I feel like a lot on weekends, like I get other things done that are still work, but like not posting on social media. So then I feel almost more productive.
Yeah. There was a handful of things I did on Friday that I was like, it's not really, like I can't send out the emails or anything, but I just scheduled them for Tuesday, like this morning. And I got a couple replies back and I was like, oh, like who sent those emails? Like that's so nice of me. Like it was nice to just like wake up and have some of the work done. So I think I might try and do that a little more often.
That's actually so cool. I need to start scheduling emails
and
more.
I think there's like more people that are like weekend warriors. Like they're, you know, doing a ton of their work on like Saturday and Sunday when like other people are not necessarily checking their email, but like you can at the very least schedule the email for Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
and then
so
not even
much
have to worry about it.
Because I always find myself wanting to email on Fridays, and then I'm like, it's not the best day.
Well, I think there's like something about being in the energy and like the excitement when you're writing emails. So like whenever that is for you, if it's like 10 o'clock at night or something, like however you work best, I think you should like write it in that energy and then that excitement and then just like schedule it out.
That's further. A great tip.
I think that's the other thing too. I'm going to practice with doing like stories. Cause you know, like sometimes like when you get something and you're like so excited and you like, but you don't have the makeup on or you don't have like something right. Like the lighting isn't there. At least recording like your excitement and enthusiasm like in that moment, I think can make a big difference with like how the content turns out.
I think that with TikTok too, like if I think of an idea or something, whenever I just do it in the moment, then it's like always way better and performs way better than when I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, I need to do that next week and write down the idea.
And then you keep putting it off because you don't have the excitement.
And then it doesn't come off like authentically.
Yeah. Ugh.
Dev, are you kind of like over the content style that you've been doing?
Kind of, yeah.
I saw
like topic or the style of it yet?
the style.
Yeah.
Well, that's better at least, because then you can just switch up the style but still be talking about the same things that appeal to all your new followers.
Yeah.
I really liked the photo shoot. That's like OG dev content that I like I want more of it.
Yeah.
I think that's so fun.
Well.
But it's like people are just, it's the first time you did it.
I just feel like brands want to see me doing the same thing. But like also I don't fit into like this the standard niche, you know? Like I'm not creating home content or wellness content or fashion or beauty. It's like doesn't fit into a perfect little box, and so brands like pass me by because they're like, oh no, we're looking for a beauty creator or we're looking for a wellness creator, and they're like, oh, this girl just does vlogs. That doesn't.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Is that the feedback like your agency gave you, or like what you're kind of assuming?
It's what I'm assuming.
See, but like, I think that like to some degree, it's like easy to put people in a box of like, okay, she's a wellness creator or she's a home decor creator, but so many of those people do the same damn thing, so it's boring. It's like obviously there's some people that are unique and creative with it, but like how many different ways are you creating like a wellness vlog? Like most wellness people do the exact same type of like wellness content, and so it's boring. And like when you see an ad, it's the same ad and like just with a different creator behind it. Like why not try something that's different but still like with it that would work?
Yeah. And even like creators that I compare myself to and like are getting the brand deals that I want to do, this is why I'm frustrated, because I have 10 times more followers than them. I have 10 times more engagement than them, but because they have this like specific style or like they fit into this box, they get all the brand deals.
Yeah. I wonder if you can like categorize some of your content and like put it in like different portfolios so like people can see like, okay, because I guess like if you looked at your feed, maybe a lot of it looks very similar, but if they like click on the video, like you've done just your cooking vlogs, like those are really fun. I love that. Like so maybe you could put like all your cooking videos together to pitch like a cooking brand, or like just all your like nighttime. I feel like your nighttime routine is kind of like focus on skincare a lot of the time, so you could just like focus on some of those different things.
Yeah, but that's what I'm not pitching myself, so
I know.
I've been straight up like hearing from brands where they directly say, I think I've had 3 home brands say we only work with creators who only post home content.
No, that's so stupid.
Same with 2 hotels recently have told me we only partner with like people who only post travel content. And I was like, that's so interesting. Like I understand that they would want to appeal to that specific audience, but then at the same time, don't you want to appeal to like a bigger audience where you could expand people who aren't just solely into that one subject? Like it's like when brands say like about dog accounts of there not being like that it's a dog account, and you're like, well no, I know the person behind this, like I know what they like, it's not a dog. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think the dog one gets such a bad, like brands cannot look at that and like expand their horizons with like what's possible, and it's so weird to me.
Yeah, I think it is a big like brand issue where just a lot of brands are figuring all of this out for the first time and don't really necessarily like, this is all still so new where like many brands are just starting social media things in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and they're like just trying to figure it out.
I feel like it is a safe bet to go with some people that are like just home influencers, but you can also have like a mix of things going on.
I think
where like it's a little bit of everything.
They should do it based on the person's quality of content and more things than just their audience.
Yeah, I agree.
But I guess it depends what the brand is looking for and what their goals are with their campaigns.
Yeah.
Well, how was your long weekends? Hopeless feeling? Were you sad all weekend?
No, I wasn't sad, but I was saying that whole conversation makes me feel hopeless.
Yeah, same.
I saw The Little Mermaid.
Oh, how was it?
You did? I want to see it so
really good.
Bad.
I've heard good things.
I've heard such good things. I'm like trying to decide if I should wait till it's just on Disney Plus.
I know. I think I'll probably wait till it's on Disney.
Yeah,
I think so.
I didn't really remember how The Little Mermaid even went, so I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen?
I like that. Like not knowing this, there's like suspense.
Yeah,
Is she gonna
like,
marry the guy?
Gonna end up? This isn't gonna end well.
That's funny.
Yeah,
I heard it was like the best live action Disney movie.
I haven't seen that many of them.
Yeah, when people said that, I was like, wait, what other live action Disney movies are there?
I know. I was thinking that because isn't there a Belle, like Beauty and the Beast?
Oh yeah.
There is, yeah.
That was good.
Then they did.
I think there's a Cinderella one.
Yeah, I think they did Cinderella, and then I forgot.
I never saw the Lion King one. I should put that on my list of things to watch.
It was cute. I animated
forgot about that.
Lions.
No,
I saw that on a date.
The Lion King one?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like a first date or second date?
A second date.
A movie's a good second date.
Yeah. I feel like the first date, you can't do a movie because then you're not talking and you don't know if you really like the person.
Yeah, that's awkward.
I watched the Nike Air movie this week.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Really good.
I really liked that too.
I liked it a lot. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy that his mom like fought so hard for him to get a percentage of all the sales of the shoes, and that was the first time that that's ever happened.
Yeah.
And now that's so like, could you imagine
so
just
badass.
giving your whole likeness away and be like, no, I get no money from each sale.
Yeah.
And that's just how it used to be.
That would be insane.
I want that.
Yeah. 5%.
I think it's a really good play for like creators to diversify more of their portfolio in that way too.
Yeah.
Like you could have some brand deals, but then like if you could have a branded product with a company and get like revenue share and stuff.
For sure.
It's huge.
Do you think like Ken with her boots and stuff with Steve Madden, she would definitely get a percentage of the sales of that? Or
I think so, yeah. But it's like that's a little bit different because isn't that like more of an editor's what is it called? Editor's pick kind of. Editor's pick. What do they call it? It's something that more and more creators are doing, but basically they just like pick a bunch of different clothes, or like some of them if there's like the design process, like some of them might get more revenue share. But
I think she was part of the design process, wasn't she? Like
I don't know.
Or she like
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
Like JoJo from The Bachelor, like she did one with Etsy one time, and it was like curated things that she picked, but it was like JoJo's line, but it's like she didn't design them. It was like she just picked these certain products.
I think they're like they negotiate them different, like depending on if they're like just picking their favorites, or like maybe they have a little bit of say in the design versus if they like co-create the product completely together.
That makes sense.
I think there's usually a revenue share with that too.
It was interesting with Michael Jordan too. Like I didn't realize that he was so new. Like it was literally right out of college that he got that deal. Like I thought that happened once he was very established and already so popular.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I didn't realize that either.
Very interesting.
And just like it was interesting too, just like in the workplace, like he was it Mark Wahlberg, right? Yeah. Or Matt Damon. No, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon and who's the other guy?
Ben Affleck.
Oh yeah.
I always forget Ben Affleck.
But Matt Damon like had to argue and like fight for like Michael Jordan specifically and like the idea and all of that. And like if they had said no, they would have lost like
that's so cool.
So much money.
Wait, did you see it too, Britt?
Yeah, I think I think I saw it last week.
Okay.
We did like a little weeknight movie night.
Cute.
Yeah. Fun.
How's the house?
Yeah,
it's good. My dad left yesterday. He decided to.
Oh wait, was he supposed to stay longer?
He was supposed to leave today, but yesterday we were like gonna go pack up his truck and then go out to lunch, and then he was like, I think I'm gonna not go to lunch and just leave right now.
Like, and we were like, okay.
Okay, that's fine. But it's really good. We got like so much done. Where basically now we just need to finish. We have to paint all the walls, and then we have a wood finishing guy coming in next week, and then he'll like resurface all the wood floors, and then we have to like get all the kitchen cabinets out that we still left in there, and the shower is still in there, so we have to take that out. And then we'll have a bathroom guy come, and he's doing the whole bathroom, so we don't need to like do any of that. And then Cameron's parents come in a few weeks, and we'll do the kitchen floor and build all the IKEA cabinets.
That'll be good.
Will be a lot.
Are you guys painting yourself?
Yeah.
That'll be good.
That's like one night.
Are you using like a sprayer?
No, just some rollers.
Oh my god, I would kill myself.
We have like one of those big stick rollers.
I hate painting.
I hate
getting everything like out and setting everything up, and then it just takes way longer than you expect.
That's like I always get excited for it, and then after one wall, I'm like, this is a lot harder than I was imagining.
I'm over it.
And then like all the details, like now you have to do like the edges and the corners, and like, I painted most of my whole house by myself very slowly, so I just really hate it.
Yeah, that's what I
That's something I would
like
be
slow.
Very willing to pay somebody else.
Next time, I will definitely pay someone.
Yeah,
if I ever get another brand deal again.
You will.
You will one day. This week. We'll manifest it.
Thanks.
It's gonna happen.
That'll be great.
Good email coming in.
This weekend I literally read all weekend. Like that's why I wasn't on
what did you
social
read?
Media that much either.
That must have been nice. Not to be like interrupted
crazy.
by like
literally my sister left for work on Sunday morning, and then I was reading at that point, and then when she got home from work on Sunday, like late afternoon, I was still in the same spot reading.
That's amazing.
That's so fun though when you're like in a new world.
Yeah, so I was annotating my Daisy Jones and the Six novel. So like I'm rereading it, and I'm like highlighting things and making notes, and I've never done that before. It is so fun.
Oh my god.
It's like very engaging and like
Please tell us more about this process.
No, I'm just rereading it and like highlighting things that I like, or like putting things together, like
I love that.
And making little notes and stuff.
It's
and I'm
your
almost
Bible.
done with it. Yeah. But also I finished
That's the cutest thing I've ever heard.
What is so funny about annotating a book?
It's pretty
funny. It's more that it's like Daisy Jones that you're annotating.
Yeah. Now I'm like, I don't know if it would be as fun to do a different book. Oh fuck no. I'm having fun. I'm not trying to like go to school. But it kind of feels like school. Like I don't know.
Don't you love like on the Kindle where it shows what other people have highlighted?
Yeah.
I
do actually like that. Especially because like some of the quotes are like pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I might have just like skimmed by them.
I also finished The Housemaid's Secret, which was really good. I
Did you like
the sequel?
One? I don't know. I really like them both equally, I think.
I think the second one surprised me more, maybe.
Yeah, and the little twist at the end.
Yeah, that surprised me. Like, I kind of expected the first one more. But also
I didn't expect the wife.
Twists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked
I never know like how much just
I know.
Because it's like I want to talk about it, but it's like you can't give it away.
Mm-hmm.
But very good. Highly recommend both of those.
Yeah, so good. Couldn't put it down.
I'm reading another really good book that I found at the airport. It's kind of different than a lot of the other books.
Britt just starts going to the airport to buy books.
Well, I don't like buy them there. I just take pictures of all the books that like look interesting, because it's way easier to like parse down. Because like even in Goodreads, like I love finding the book and then like, okay, what else is gonna be similar? Or, like what else did the author write? But again, it's like there's so many options. It's like overwhelming. So the airport's like a little just condensed version. But it's called Morewood Family Rules. It's about a family of con artists. And one of the family members is like trying to get the whole family like out of the con artist scheming. And she controls like all the money. And so it's very interesting.
That sounds
very
good.
different than what I've normally read too. Yeah.
It's so hard picking new books because like you want to kind of stick with something that you know you're going to like, but then also you kind of start getting bored of that. So you want to like try something new, but you don't know if you're going to end up liking it. And then if it's a book you don't love, it takes forever to get through. That's so annoying.
You guys really power through books that you don't like. That's very good for you.
What is your guys' like favorite book of all time?
That's too hard. That's like asking like favorite song.
You're asking me
Really?
that?
Both of you.
What do you think?
I have no idea. Daisy Jones and the Six.
Really? You think out of everything ever?
I think one of my favorites,
if you asked me in high school, I would say Twilight.
Like, I think my love for Harry Potter has overpowered any other book that I've ever read. Like,
Yeah.
the
So
amount where you're
interesting.
just, like, wanting to read it 24/7 and, like, fully in a different world. I don't think I've experienced that since Harry Potter.
You didn't.
I feel like
I
my
felt-
favorites, like currently, are The Golden Couple, Can't Look Away, and Too Good to Be True. Those still are like top.
I didn't read The Golden Couple. I still want to read that.
I think, is it on? I don't think it's on Unlimited. Let me look. I don't think it is.
Guys, I have my splint off now,
Mhm.
and it's like healing well, but anytime my finger bends up, it's the worst pain, like literally ever. And I did it the other day. I like pushed myself back in bed, and it literally hurt so bad that like the thought of when I think about the pain, I get nauseous physically. Like, it's so bad.
Did you break it too, or like fracture it,
No.
or like minor fracture? It's just the
No, it's
skin.
just because the cut is like right where your finger bends, like the very top bendy part. And so the skin kind of like grew over, and it's just like permanently like this now. I can't lift it up that much.
Ouch.
That sucks.
I hate that type of pain.
Yeah, but I'll have some cool scars.
Battle wounds.
I'm glad it's not on my ring hand.
Oh my god.
So I can keep my diamonds pretty.
That could have been bad. Have you been wearing your ring while you do construction?
Yeah. Maybe I'll take it off while I paint, though.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you should.
Don't want to get paint on it.
No.
I did. I looked up rings. So 2 of my friends got engaged like yesterday, I think, or like this weekend at least.
That's cool.
Yeah. And actually, like, I wanted to share this, just like I haven't talked to either of them like very consistently like for the last like couple years, but one of them like I grew up with like from middle school, and we've been friends since then, like through college and everything. And I like saw the Instagram post and I was like, oh my god, congrats. I like texted her, and we just like picked up back to like where we were, and like now she's coming to visit in like September, and it's just like I forget these things. Like I feel kind of ashamed or embarrassed, like, oh my god, we haven't like talked in a minute. But like I think it's just important to like continuously reach out to those people, even if you like feel some type of way about it, because I've like, you know, started talking to like a few of my really good friends again, like just more consistently, and it's like nothing has ever changed. And it's just like obviously there's stuff that could change, but yeah, if there's somebody you haven't reached out to in a minute,
yeah,
just, like,
there is
check in.
There's somebody that I keep putting off reaching out to, and I just feel like, oh, it's been so long, like she's not gonna want, like, I don't know. It feels like the further away you get from the last time you talked, it feels like worse, you know. But
yeah, it definitely feels worse. But I think that like you can just kind of go into it like sharing a memory with you that you have like with them, or even just like, hey, how are you? I miss you. Yeah.
I like, it wouldn't be weird if I was just like, hi, I want to get lunch with you soon or something. Like that wouldn't be weird, but I just don't. I just haven't.
Yeah. It definitely builds up in your mind.
Yeah.
But I think it's like people just are so busy these days. And it's so,
and even that like little
like,
rejection kind of hurts. Like even if they're like, I mean, they just can't.
If they're just busy,
especially for me, when my love language is quality time, and like my biggest thing is when people can't make time for me.
Yeah.
That
I'm sure that really like sucks even more so, because it's like the like act of someone taking action to like make time for you, even like texting you or like calling you, like means a lot to you. It's like something that's so small, but like other people, if they have different love languages, they might not see it as such a big deal to like reach out to you.
Yeah. Oh, did you see that there are apparently 2 new love languages? I saw this on Scrubbing In.
No.
They were talking
What
about
is this? It. What are they?
One was like feeling emotionally safe. That was one love language. And then the other was creating memories together.
Is that not quality time?
That's I think Tanya was saying that they were stupid and the same as other things, and then safe. Becca was explaining what they were. So emotionally safe is like having someone that listens to you and makes you feel like you can be vulnerable like, with them.
Validates you, maybe, too.
Yeah.
I'm looking this up. This is
somebody said, because
that would be my love language, honestly. If anybody that I feel emotionally safe with, that would be like, yeah, that's actually probably my love language.
I posted once about like things that Cameron does for me. I think it was like for his birthday or something. And my cousin said like there's another love language of like feeling understood.
That's
or,
what that one is.
To kind of like
you like asking a lot of questions. Signs that this might be your love language. You like asking a lot of questions. You feel closest when your partner is sharing their fears, dreams, past. You're a deep thinker and curious listener. You wear your heart on your sleeve. You enjoy the scary conversations.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And then the other one is shared experiences. You feel close to your partner after attending an event together. You love completing a group task. You prefer to always have someone along for the ride. You feel closest when you're making new memories. You prefer to be doing something with your partner.
Yeah, I feel like that one's quality time. I don't see the difference with that one.
I guess like
besides it's physically happening now or in the past.
But I do think that maybe those people, like some of those people are just like more like they would rather spend their money on experiences like going to a play or a musical or like concert or like out to eat. Yeah, more adventurous type of people versus like quality time to some people could be like sitting on the couch together. But it wouldn't like fulfill that adventure person. Like they'd be like sick. Like
I want you to want to go explore with me.
Yeah, it's not quality time to just be on the couch on your phones.
I wonder if that kind of got brought up from like all the adventurous type of people.
Maybe.
Probably, because like aren't the love languages just one guy wrote it?
I think
that there's obviously like psychological research behind it, but I'm pretty sure it just came from
I do think
that
was one guy. It up. Yeah, I'm curious. It's quite strange.
That is strange. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to another episode of So Glad We're Friends. I'm Maggie.
I'm Devin.
I'm Brittany. And I didn't even realize we didn't do our intro yet.
Never.
Like fully did not even like register. You were like ready for what? Ready for what?
Oh, you were just like ready.
I'm like, sure, we can talk about the topic.
Today we're going to be talking all about being a woman in the workplace and our different experiences and how just it is for all women. Because we all have different experiences, because I've never really had like a full corporate job. I've never been a woman in a workplace like that.
I agree. I have some like key lessons too, like key advice things that I want to spread, because I wish that I had these like when I was in the workplace, or at least starting out.
I think it also like pertains to women and girls in school and in college, and like how you have different expectations put on you, even like from kindergarten, like from the very beginning, because you're a girl, feminine.
I also found some like statistics and facts about women in the workplace.
Cool.
I'm sure those will make me mad.
Are they good or bad? Are they hopeful or hopeless?
There's some good ones and some bad ones.
Okay.
Do we start with
I mean, we are currently in the biggest female-dominated field. Like,
yes, that was one of the things I was going to say.
I saw somebody make a TikTok, and they're like, I think they were talking about how much money some influencers make, and she was saying, like, this should be looked at as a great thing because it's the only field where women are dominating and making a shit ton of money, like men are doing in so many other fields, you know?
I completely agree.
I think it said like 70-something% of women jobs are in more like creative industries. And the most popular job for women is a preschool or kindergarten teacher.
That's so interesting.
I don't really love that statistic.
It says men hold 62% of manager positions and women hold 38%. And basically just the higher up that you get in any field, the smaller percent of women that there are. Like there's 48% of entry-level employees are women, but then when you get up to like the top VPs and executives, it's only 22%, which I think is so interesting. And I do wonder how much, like, because obviously it's like we just got such a late start. It's like for hundreds of years, boys were doing things first, and then it's like, okay, now girls are being put into all of that, and it's like we are just like so behind and we have to catch up so much, where there was already guys like in those top positions, and then all the girls are starting out so entry level where it takes years and years to then get up to those higher levels.
Yeah,
but I think also like people didn't respect women for a long time to be in these positions either.
My VP came and rode along with me like before I left my job, and he was just describing his like lifestyle and like week in work life, and I was like, that would be hell on earth. I would never want to do that job. And so I think that like there is a level of commitment that like you have to sacrifice so much. And I think like even as someone who doesn't necessarily want kids, like I don't personally necessarily even want to sacrifice my time for that either, like let alone time away from kids. Like I can only imagine it's even harder. But I think that's a big thing as well, that like the lifestyle itself just sucks. And so I understand like people just don't want to do it necessarily.
Yeah, but society puts a lot of pressure on men to be that way also. And like some men don't feel like have their self-esteem, or like they feel like they're not doing or achieving enough if they're not working all the time, whereas women, we can get self-esteem and like approval from being home. Like there's not as much pressure on us to be like the CEO and running a company and working 24/7. But then also when women do that, people like assume that she's like a heartless bitch, you know, like.
Yeah, that is such an interesting thing. I never thought about that way. I think the other thing too is that like not enough women are put up for these positions. So it's like you have like a whole pool of people to choose from for the next VP position, and you have like 10 guys and 2 women. So like there's like the bench for a lot of these positions is not like equally set. And I think like even different ethnicities and races like in that bench as well, like they're not represented at all. So it's like, of course it's going to be another white male in the table because it's 10 white males and 2 females or something.
Yeah, a lot of companies when they first hire people, they like already pick out like which people they're going to start grooming for management roles and stuff. And like I'm reading that book about introversion, and they do the same thing with anybody who does like is an introvert on a personality test. They're like, okay, no, we're not even going to consider them for management roles because they're an introvert. And that's the same thing they do for women probably.
Yeah. Like what you're saying too about guys feeling pressured to be that way. I think that's so common of what you hear when a girl wants to like get engaged or married. You always hear guys say like they're not ready if they're not able to like financially support the family. Like I feel like I hear that so much with my friends where they're like, no, we can't get married yet because we're not fully there financially for me to be able to like take care of you and live that life. And then the girl's like, we can do that together. Like you don't need to fully support me. But like in a lot of their brains, I think it's like a necessity that
they take on that
burden.
That is interesting.
And then I think we have it in us where we're like, no, like I can do it too. Like you don't need to just do that. Because I think it would be so hard for me to not have anything, like to be fully giving.
I couldn't do it either.
Yeah, like your livelihood almost to somebody else and like fully trusting them.
There's so many men that also have a problem with like not being the breadwinner of the household as well. They are so insecure about that.
But then it sucks for girls because there's no right way. Like literally, if you're in a career and you're like a boss bitch, then you're looked at as bad because you're not home. But if you're a stay-at-home mom full time, then you're like, she does nothing. She's just a stay-at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no right way to do it.
There's no winning.
No. That's why you just can't. You have to not care what society thinks.
Yeah, literally just focus on your own family. I can't say Canada all of a sudden. Canada has the highest female labor force at 61%. Which is so interesting.
That's really
Canada
awesome.
always out here killing it.
Yeah.
75% of self-employed women love their job.
That's pretty cool.
I think that's interesting. I also wonder if there's more women in the more recent years who are becoming more self-employed. Because it is more like you can be on your own schedule. And
well, there's so many more opportunities to, like, with the internet and social media, like, there's so much more opportunity to do whatever you want as a job, and you don't have to just, like, fit in the mold of whatever company is telling you to do.
Yeah. This also said how you talked about how girls are more pressured to go to college too, and like how this applies to schooling. In the early 1990s, less than 50% of women went to college, and now over 70% of women go to college, and it's like less than 60% of boys too. So it's like significantly higher, the amount of educated women compared to men.
Not surprising.
Yeah, but I wonder if that also has to do with like more, what is that called? Like blue collar jobs where you're not going to college, like if that's just more male dominated.
Yep, I think so.
One of my other favorite statistics that I've recently saw was of the S&P 500 companies, there are 459 male CEOs and 41 female CEOs. And the women-led companies have significantly outperformed the men. And so the 32 companies that have women CEOs have significantly outperformed the companies run by men over the past 10 years. The difference in returns is 384% from female-led companies versus 261% from male-led companies.
Amazing.
Like, that's so fucking cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get, like, why don't we use that research and everything just to prove the point, like, of how people say, like, women can't be president, they're not as good at making decisions, and as good as they're more emotional, blah blah blah. Like, we can see the research.
Our minds, meaning like as the collective human race, just assume that like men are more trustworthy. Like, this is so annoying, but my mom recently flew on a plane, and she texted our group chat and was like, "Oh my god, the pilot's a woman." Like, she was afraid to have a female flying the plane. And I was like, oh my god. Are you kidding?
Andrew Tate literally says that. He's like, be honest. Like, you would be more scared if you see a woman flying the plane than a male.
She is probably so much better.
Well, that's what's so interesting is too, like, the internalized misogyny that we all have, where like even I still have that about like when I'm overly sensitive or anything, where I feel like, oh, I shouldn't be crying, or oh, that's bad, and it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, there's so many things I think that we also just like don't even allow ourselves to have the opportunities because of that internalized misogyny. That like you just don't even go for something if you want it, even though you might want it. You're like, oh, I'm not going to get it, so what's the point in putting myself out there for it? And that's like one of the biggest things that like I have on my list is asking for what you want and not assuming that anybody is going to like know what you want. And I think a perfect example of this is I've always liked training people, and within my team, like the trainer position, like someone left and it was open, they were just going to give it to the next guy because of his tenure or whatever. And I was like, wait, why? Like, I was like, I want that trainer position. Like, I'm going to be fucking awesome at it. Like, they were just literally going to give it to him. Versus I had to do an interview for it and like a presentation. I did some of these things just because I really wanted the position, but like I put in like a lot more effort versus they were just gonna like hand the position to the guy. And it's not just like a trainer title. Like, you just don't get that like a thing. Like, you get a lot more perks. You get to like have a seat at the table at a lot of these like bigger conferences. You get to like meet higher up people, and you get paid more. So it was like a big deal, and I like had to ask for it and then do like more work for it. I eventually got it, but it's like they were just gonna hand it to this person. They're like, hey, do you want this position? Sure. then there you go.
That is so crazy.
You know what's crazy is like I feel like I've always been involved in female dominated things, but like when I was younger and I was a dancer and it's obviously all girls, but then every once in a while there would be that one boy, and just because there was one boy, he would get all the praise. He would like always win the awards. Like at competitions and stuff, if there were like 10 girls doing a solo and then there was one boy that did a solo, like chances are the boy was going to win first place, even if he wasn't as good, because like they want to encourage boys to dance and stuff. And also they're like, oh, it's a boy, like look at, he's doing something so different and trying something so different, even though these girls were like way better technically. They're like, oh, like I don't know, it was just so annoying whenever at a competition, if you were up against a boy, you're like, oh, he's going to win because he's a boy.
But then at the same time, if that's like flipped, there's not like the and a girl type of thing for women in the same capacity.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true. I think that Britt, like I think girls need to be better at because we don't know how to speak up in all situations. So then when you're put into a work situation, it's like especially that's scary to speak up and like say what you want. But Cameron's really good at that, like in work, and I feel like I've observed that now. I don't know necessarily how to apply it to like our jobs now of saying what we want, besides like I mean, I guess you can, negotiating and telling brands and stuff. But like when Cameron gets in a new position, he automatically talks to his managers or whoever's around him and talks to them about what the next goal is and the next step and what other position that he wants to get to. And then he gets to the next position so freaking quick because the manager and whoever he's working with is like specifically like leading him down that path to get where he wants to go. And I don't know, I feel like I want to like do that more, but like the only way I can see that is creating more longer term partnerships and stuff. But like
I think one, like you just mentioned, of like Cameron's like, okay, what is the next goal, is telling multiple people your goals is another huge thing, whether you're in a company or you're like your own boss and you're like in the social media realm. Because what this does is it gets people like to keep you in mind for things. Like when you told me about the creative like director type of thing, I was like, oh, awesome. Like I've already talked to somebody else about this actually. And like, here's what they were recommended to do. But like, if you had never told me that and you had only told like maybe Devin or you had told Cameron, like I wouldn't be able to tell you like my 2 cents about like what I know about that. So like everyone kind of has different perspectives on like, oh, this is how you could potentially achieve this goal. And that's where I think I've gotten a lot of advice and like help, is because I told multiple people, hey, I really want to get to this position. Like this is my next goal. And so I would be put in front of other people to like have those discussions. And they were like, okay, like, do you want to try shadowing this person? Do you want to, hey, let me connect you with this other person. And so all those people have a different perspective, a different connection, a different way to like help you be successful. And so I think that's where like if you can tell multiple people what you want to do, and even like you have a whole platform, you have like all of your stories. So if you share that goal, even if and then you share it in a post, that's a way to like ask for it and tell people your goals, because you never know who's listening and might be like, oh fuck, like we would love to have you on board. Like maybe Native Pet with all of your awesome ideas, or like Swedencare, like, oh, we'd love Maggie to like design a campaign for us. But
that's so true.
It is hard because it's something that like you are unsure about in the first place, especially if it's not like a specific like path that's already been carved for you. I think that makes it a little even like harder, but I think we can all kind of practice that a little bit, even though it's scary to like share those bigger goals.
Yeah, no, that's so true, because I always think of it in the form of like telling your boss or something. So then when I'm like, oh, I don't have a boss, like who do I tell? But that's everything in life. Like even talking to your friends, I mean obviously talking to you guys helps so much because then you have like the internal, so like people that you know and contacts and all of that. But like even talking to my friends who aren't involved whatsoever, they can help a lot too, because no matter like if I'm doing something in life and they're like, why are you doing that doesn't align with where you're trying to go, like why are you going against your goals right now? That's like very helpful in all things in life. But I only thought of it of like your boss. But one of the facts about it actually is that women are negotiating now as much as men, which I think is awesome, because that used to be like such a big problem. I'm sure it is still a problem.
I feel like on like asking for what you want, it's so important to practice it like in everyday life. like even if someone like, what restaurant do you want to go to? You probably like, even you might have sometimes where you're like, I don't really know. But there's like a lot of the time you probably like have something, like practicing asking for like what restaurant you want to go to, or like asking for like extra of this or that. Like there's little things I think we can all practice every day that just make it easier when you get into the conversation with like a boss and they're like, what do you want to do next? And you like are prepared and it's not an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, like in relationships too, of saying what you want instead of just expecting it and like being like, oh, it'll happen without me saying anything or communicating with anybody that I want it. Also sexually, that's like a huge thing too, of saying what you want, because all of these things, like girls are just taught like, just be quiet, don't disturb the peace, don't keep small in your space, like don't
but then when you are quiet you're also shamed.
Literally.
So you don't really win. You don't really win by not asking for anything.
No.
I think that's another thing too, is like just seeing, I've like, I think I've explained this before, but like my dad's like biggest thing when we were growing up is like, oh, so-and-so has this or that. And I'm like, and anytime I said that, my dad's like, well, life's not fair. So like what that's made me like do a lot more is just like go after what I want more often. And that's where I think like the trainer example of like asking for that, or like asking for a raise, like I knew somebody else was making more money than me and I was like, hey, I would like this and here's like my performance to back it up and all of this other stuff. But those are like uncomfortable conversations, so it's easier to practice them like on a smaller scale in everyday life. So when you are not even prompted, like when no one asks you what you want, because that's what another thing is, there's a lot of people that won't even ask you what you want. You have to be the person to like speak up and say, no, I want this.
Yeah, you can't be waiting really around for someone to ask you, because most of the time they're not going to.
Yeah, that's a big thing on my list, is like don't wait for someone to like notice you, ask you for what you want, or like let them decide what you're going to do. And
so I should be telling all these brands that I want to work with them, be like, we're going to work together. Yes. So just stop denying it.
Yeah. I think also at the brands too, another like way I was thinking about this is like asking them for more context or like more opportunities, or like to connect you with other people within the company too. So like Maggie, for like what you wanted to like kind of test out, like any contacts that you have, there's probably other people in the marketing department that you could even just have a conversation with. Like you don't have to, like, it's not like, hey, this is going to be my new job, but like, hey, can I talk to the director of marketing? Would you be able to put me in touch with them? And then you can like ask them, all of your questions and about your goals and what your interests are.
Talking to more like influencers too, of like, because I'd love to like edit other people's podcasts or videos or things like that, or be like more behind the scenes helping other influencers. So I feel like it's talking to them and not just brands also.
Yeah, I think we've said this before too, but like not being afraid to reach out to your peers and ask for help, especially in this industry. Like I love when people, like I'm afraid to ask people stuff like, have you worked with this brand? How much did they pay you? But I love when other people come to me and ask me that and like feel like they can ask me those questions. So don't be afraid to talk to your peers.
For sure. I think that's really good. I've learned so much through talking to people.
That's how our podcast is here today.
Yeah.
Ecovacs.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps you connect with other people, and then start a freaking podcast with them and develop your brands and stuff even more. Because you really never know what could happen.
Yeah.
Another thing I have on here is like getting multiple mentors, because this is another thing of like, don't wait for someone to be like, hey, do you want to be mentored, or like, do you want this opportunity? Because there's a lot of people that are so happy and excited to mentor, and just getting coffee with them once a month and checking in can make such a difference. And I have like multiple mentors, and I think it makes such a difference for like help, again, just like having somebody in your corner to like help you get where you want, and someone to like encourage you to like advocate for yourself.
I need a mentor.
That's really good.
That's
I think
like
I have
finding
a brain
a
block
therapist
for that.
Like it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like how do I find the right person?
It feels overwhelming, and it feels like, I don't know, like not that I'm like too good for that. Yeah, like, or like in a way where you're like, oh, I don't need that. Like, yeah. Like, how do you even go about, finding one? Because you hear like finding mentors like of couples, or like if you're going to get married and stuff, like find a couple that you really appreciate their marriage and you'd look up to them and then you'd want that. So I would assume that you would try to find somebody who has some of the life that you're wanting to achieve. And then you're like, okay, can you help me get there also?
Yeah. I think like, especially in an unpaid capacity, like mentorship, like it's important to try and like know something about them and like be invested in them as well. Like it, because truly mentorship is a two-way street. Like a lot of mentors get something out of helping somebody else as well, and they like learn stuff about themselves or like just about the industry, different perspectives. So I think it's good to like try and come to the table and like really understand and research the person that you're like approaching, and then not like trying to like, you know, 30-minute coffee chat or like 30-minute phone call or something. I think is a great way to like start out and like feel it out with the other person.
That's scary.
I know. Again, having to ask for what you want.
Yeah. Because like I'm comfortable talking to like family and friends and whatnot. Yeah. But like reaching out to a random online person seems scarier, but not scarier because I often message random people asking them for help, actually. Like I do that quite frequently, but I guess taking it to more like one step further where it's like, will you be my mentor? That sounds like more serious than just somebody that you go to ask questions occasionally.
Yeah. And how do you know if they're saying yes because they really enjoy helping you, or if they're saying yes out of obligation, like they can't say no? And that would be my worst situation to be in.
Like, should it be somebody who is a mentor for a living more so than just somebody?
No. I would find somebody who's more like, because I think that if someone's doing it for a living, like they're like coaching and mentoring people, like the obligation is going to be that you pay them for their time. But there are a lot of people like in the business world and in marketing and stuff that would happily like mentor you, and like provide their like share their experiences and like, you know, kind of like just leaving the ladder down for somebody else.
That's honestly like me being able to talk and you being able to talk to Chris from Hammy and Olivia. He is someone who really enjoys helping people, and he like takes so much time to like explain stuff to me and like really wants to help.
But see, that's how do you take that, like, because that's what I feel like I have that type of relationship with several people. But then it's like, does it need to be in an official capacity where it's like, you're now my mentor? And then it feels like a one-way friendship almost, kind of like a therapist.
So the way I would like, after you kind of have your like initial meeting and whatever, and like see if you guys click, I would just set up a monthly meeting with them. Like, hey, would you mind if I just set some time like once a month for 30 minutes just to kind of check in and, you know, would you be open to being my mentor?
Yeah. But it's like, because I think wouldn't want to meet up with somebody once a month that I'm not friends with to help them.
But it also honestly feels a lot better because I've like mentored people within my company too. It feels a lot better to like follow up on what you guys talk about. Like it's great and all to like give somebody two tidbits of information, but like I don't want to necessarily be like, hey, go do this and that, and then never hear from them again. That like feels even more transactional. It feels better to like, hey, how did it go with those things? And you can be like, oh, like this really sucked, or I got rejected. Like, what do you recommend I do next? Type of thing. Yeah.
You want to know that your advice helped.
Yeah. And that you're not just like wasting my time.
I guess that's the difference in my mind is like I do that with Girls and Dog Mom Club, and it's like I look at that as me enjoying it because I look at them as friends. But then when I'm doing it to somebody else, I look at that as like, why would somebody want to help me if they don't think of me as a friend? Mm-hmm. Like take the time for free. I don't know.
There's a lot out of it though. Like it's really cool. I mean, that's a thing about like mentorship and coaching. I get so much out of seeing people succeed, and it like truly brings me joy and like helping brings me a lot of fulfillment and purpose. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that are like that I wouldn't necessarily second guess it, because I'm sure a lot of people would be like, hell yeah, Maggie just did this or that or like whatever. I was able to kind of get to the next level. I think another thing is like seeking out opportunities and advocating for yourself too, which are all kind of different ways to say the same thing. But I think seeking out opportunities is like actively trying to find things that you are going to enjoy instead of like, again, waiting for them to come to you and trying to figure out like ways to make them happen for yourself.
Yeah, I agree. That's like one of my biggest things that I love is I just feel like so many people think that they have to do life a certain way, or like be in a job a certain way, or like once you're 30 something and in a career, then it's like, oh, I'm stuck here for the rest of my life now, and I can't change that because I went to college, or because because I've been focused in this one area and I can't switch it up. But I feel like it's good to learn that you can change up your life at literally any point. You could be 80 years old and change everything in your life, and you can seek anything out that you want to. Like, everything is out there. You just have to make the moves to look for it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all those like stories about so and so started this at 40, or like this person, you know, went to college at like 35 or something. Like, there's so many cool stories that you don't have to wait for the perfect timing, or it's not like too late for you to like start doing something different.
Yes, I had so many like older people in some of my college classes, and they were so cute, like little old men in their 70s, just like taking notes. I think it's adorable.
Did you guys ever have any instances in school or in work where like you were singled out to do the woman's job because you're a girl?
I think all the time. Like, if you think of like group projects and things too, it's like I would feel, like if I got put in a group and I'm the only girl in a group of boys, it's automatically like, oh, I'm doing all the work for sure.
Yeah, at the advertising agency I used to work at, my boss would always like pick the girls to go do the arts and crafts thing. And it was so annoying to me. Like, oh, do you girls want to go do an art project? Like, you guys want to go to Michael's and like get some decorations? Or do you guys want to decorate for the party? And I was always like, no, I don't want to do that. That's not my thing. And what's funny is there was this guy that I worked with who like loved doing that stuff, but my boss would never ask him to do it. It was always like,
that's what I was
girls
gonna say, is it's like bad for the boys too, because there could very well be boys who are like, I want to do crafts, or then there's girls like, I would love to do the crafts. I'd be like, hell yeah, send me to Michael's. So it's like you can't just box people in like that, because it makes boys look down on girls to be like, and to look down on wanting to do creative things like that.
Or, not that we care about boys in this episode, but it makes them miss out on like doing things that they enjoy doing because they're man, they can't decorate for the party.
Well, that's what's weird, is I think a lot of the bad things about girls, or that happens to girls, is also because of the bad things that are given to boys, like in the way that society is set up. Like, they directly affect each other.
More of like the singling out stuff that happened for me was like kind of in the opposite direction of like the guys just get chosen for things. Like, for example, all the guys like would go golf, and like they would get to leave early, which like
oh my god, I have a story about this. Keep going.
They really like my old company was so annoying about like, okay, you come in, I think we started at like 7:30 and we finished, or 7:30, we finished at 3:30 because we like work on hospital time, or, like, OR time and stuff. And so they were so strict. Like, you could come in at 6:30, but you were still leaving at 3:30. Like, they made such a fuss about it. It was like so frustrating. So I don't even know if like most of them even made up their time, quote unquote, but they would leave like 30 minutes to an hour early to go golfing and get the tea time. And it was like all the guys. They was just like at 2:30 or whatever, they would all stand up and like walk out and go golfing. And I'm just like, oh my god, I would love to leave early and like go home and be
maybe you want to go golfing.
Exactly. There's probably some people that like actually enjoy golfing. I would not want to, but at the same time, like, I'd love to leave early because that's still the perk of like what they were doing.
Yeah. Okay, so one time at my company, my boss got like baseball tickets just for the guys at the company, and there were like 3 girls maybe. And so they got to leave early at like lunch and go to a baseball game. And the girls had to stay at work, and it happened to be International Women's Day. Shut the fuck up. And we also, were like, so mad.
So, like, it's an all-American sport. Like, it is.
Yeah, why wouldn't we want to go?
Everyone.
Yeah, it might have been a spring training game too, which I love. So yeah, it was.
That is so absurd,
insane.
That also, like, I guess this doesn't really have to do with the workplace, but both of those things are like, oh, this is something that a guy likes, or because it's an activity that a guy wants, or like it's a real hobby. When like
the girls don't want to do this.
Like, literally, boys freak out over sports and are way more of fangirls than I am about freaking Harry Styles. But for some reason, like, that's not a hobby, but like watching football is.
Because guys like it. It's okay.
Because guys like it. It's approved.
Because they get to decide.
Like, you should be able to leave to get your nails done for fun. That's your fun activity as them going golfing. But like, for some reason, it'd be like, oh, that's just doing a fun thing. That's like a girls' spa day. Like, that does nothing. We're golfing. That's a sport.
So ridiculous.
That is crazy, both of those stories. I don't like that. I was gonna say, in some ways, I like gender roles of like, like when I was serving and stuff, it'd be like, okay, I don't want to switch out the freaking soda machine, like calling a boy to go do that, or like carrying the heavy stuff. I'm like, all right, you can do this.
Yeah. But one thing I was just thinking about this, like, perspective is like, I don't know if some guys feel more uncomfortable like mentoring women, or like if they feel uncomfortable with like how to help a woman because they're like, oh, we don't relate as much. Because like, obviously when it comes to like mentorship or like helping other people get to the next step, like you can build kind of a friendship with them, and there's obviously a lot that you can relate to with guys. So like other guys can like talk about golf, they can talk about sports, they can talk about like a lot of mutual things. But I think maybe something that could help is just having more like training for men of like, hey, like this might be like obvious, but you can talk about like other things besides work, and you can like build friendships with the women in the workplace. Like you don't need to just like
but boys don't talk like that. Like even with best friends, they don't talk to each other the same way that girls do. Like even if you meet a girl tomorrow and like go have a drink with a girl you've never met before, you would definitely be talking about your life and things going on in your life, your relationship, your job, like a bunch of different things. And guys would directly go to sports or weather or like things happening outside of their own lives.
Yeah.
But when you work together, you have a lot in common and you can talk about that stuff, I feel like the people you work with or the projects you have going on.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know. What are you watching on TV?
It's obviously like easier for those like some of the guys I think to gravitate towards the other guys, and I'm not like faulting them for that, but like make the fucking effort to like bring girls into the conversation so that, because that's another thing too, is like it's not fully their responsibility to make women comfortable, but like you can do your 2 cents of just like a minimal effort to like help another girl be part of the conversation and include her. And I think that goes a long way with like, again, helping other women like climb the ladder and everything, because they feel like they have a seat at the table instead of like, oh, like, let me just go grab another seat for you. Like that doesn't feel as good.
Yeah. I worked at a small company, and so we were like pretty close. And I will say like a lot of the guys would stick up for the girls to our boss for us in situations where like if our boss did something that was uncalled for or he was overlooking us for an opportunity, like a couple of the guys that worked there would say something, which is nice.
That's really awesome.
But there's also this like double standard, and I talked about this on TikTok, but with women in companies to be like the brand ambassador or like the face of the company. And my boss at my previous job always expected the women to like be social and extroverted and make friends with everybody else in the building. And he wanted the girls to always stay for happy hour and to like build relationships with people that we didn't even necessarily work with, because he saw us as like a reflection of himself. And he wanted the women to be like dress nice and outgoing and like represent him well amongst like the co-working space. But he did not have that expectation for the guys at all. He didn't care what they wore. He didn't care if they stayed for happy hour. He didn't care if they sat at their desk and didn't talk all day long.
I wonder if that also comes from a little bit of a creepy way of like not him seeing himself in you guys, but of like that he's attracted to girls and this is what other guys want to see almost. Like he's like, I don't care about the guys, like they just go behind, but like we need to use the girls to be the front and to show off because people like looking at girls.
Yeah, probably.
In a sexual way. Like,
but also like he wanted us to be friends with all the other women in the co-working space and stuff.
Yeah, he seems very sexist. Like every story about him like is not good.
I feel like there's just on the note of like being quiet or introverted or extroverted, I feel like more and more companies should do a better job of like understanding like people's personality types and like how to just best work with them. Like it should just be like a common sense thing, not like, okay, you're going to get passed up on this opportunity because you're an introvert, like a negative thing, or like, oh, like maybe Devin doesn't need to do like 6 social events in a week. Like if she's more introverted, that's going to drain her. So can she have like, you know, just do 2 social events or something, like 1 social event.
Yeah. Or fostering environments that are helpful for introverts to work in.
Yeah.
Because if we look at each person individually of their personality rather than their gender, then it would allow everybody, like open doors for everybody. Because on the guy side, it's like, oh, less guys are teachers because that's looked at as a more female career. But like there are a lot of nurturing guys who maybe have more feminine qualities that don't do that because of fear of being looked at badly. And then there's girls who want to take charge more and be in these other positions. And they're not allowed to because guys have to take that role when instead it should just be like, oh, you like doing this. You're really good at this. We should use those traits that you have and to their best ability so that way we can get the best version of you. Like it seems like it's like putting people in boxes and not allowing them to even be their best potential.
Yeah. Like a big thing that, well, my boss was like this, but it's the culture now in the workplace is like brainstorming, and a lot of bosses and people that run companies think that that's how the best ideas come about, but there's so much research that says that is absolutely not true. And for people who are introverted like me, I cannot think well in a big group setting. I have my best ideas when I'm alone and I can think by myself, and then maybe we can bring it to the group and like discuss the ideas. But like the fact that all these people are being pushed into these like group think brainstorming sessions to like create the best products and the best ideas is just not suitable for everybody's style of working.
No, because the whole style of working was made for men and the way that men function, and even the 9-to-5 schedule is like for a man's hormones and everything. Like it just wasn't built for us, and then suddenly we're like being put into this whole system that wasn't made for us at all.
That's where like I think the environment too of like feedback, like I think a big thing that I learned is like how to manage my manager and being able to provide feedback like, hey, my best ideas come from working alone, and like being okay like advocating. But a huge part of that is like having an environment in which like you can provide that feedback to your manager or provide your feedback, because there's a lot of people that are just not open to feedback like that, and they're just like, nah, that's stupid, like no, don't do that.
Well, and it's hard when you're young or in school or like just starting out in a career, because you feel like you're supposed to be listening to all of those people and like you're figuring out what is even best for you or what works for you. Like when my dad was here right now, I was telling him, like he used to yell at me when I would put music on while I would do homework. Like he would literally be like, you can't have music on. You're not focusing. You're not going to do as good of a job. God. And I told him yesterday, I was like, oh my God, I just remembered like that you used to do that to me. And now it's like I have ADHD and music and another sound helps me concentrate way more. And he was like, oh, that helps me too. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like that makes no sense. But it's like when you're young or when you're like impressionable like that, or you don't even know what is best, then you listen to your managers and your mentors and all the guys at your company or whatever to be like, oh, this is the way that I should do it. And then you start to know yourself more and how you work best.
I wish I would have had that book, Quiet by Susan Cain, when I was working in an office setting, because I didn't even know, like, honestly, because I wasn't good at brainstorming or like asking questions during meetings on the spot, I thought that I just sucked. Like, I thought there was something wrong with me. But like now knowing that I just think differently, it like I would have helped me advocate for myself and tell my boss like, no, actually I'm an introvert and I think better when I'm alone.
Yeah. That's crazy. There's obviously like so many different ways to do something as well. And I think there's so much of like this is how we as a company have been successful, so this is how you should do it. And there's a lot of different ways to do something, and like just because it works really well for 5 people, like that should be the opportunity to be like, okay, maybe there's still another option for somebody else that's going to work best for them too. And giving them the opportunity to like share that.
Yeah. Not to get dark, but another fact I found was that 42% of women reported being sexually assaulted in the workplace or sexual harassment in general, which that's just so crazy. And it's 55% of senior level women report it. Like that's literally more than half. Like how is that okay? Or how does that just get so swept under the rug where people don't even notice or do anything about it?
Yeah, and
because you don't want to upset people. Yeah, you don't want to like upset like, oh, they were just drunk and like it was like in passing, or like you don't want to make a bigger deal out of it because then the attention goes to you and it's not for like a positive thing.
Yeah, you also like think it's your fault. Like
people make it seem like it's normal. That's what guys do. Like get over it. And like to know that over 50% of women have experienced it, then you start telling yourself like, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, you know? Boys being boys.
Boys will be boys.
That's like what happened to me. Basically, the guy was sexually assaulting me for like over a year, and I felt like because I'd watch him do it to other girls also, that it in my head it was like, oh, like it's either my fault or like it's happening to multiple girls and they're fine with it, or we're not talking about it like it's a bad thing, so it must be okay. Or I guess more that it's your fault. Like we had this rule where like girls weren't allowed to walk back to your car at night. Like after work, you weren't allowed to walk alone. You had to have a boy walk with you. And they would literally always make the guy that sexually assaulted me walk me to my car. And that's where like worse things would happen during that time. And it was like a weird thing in my mind because that was like supposed to be a protective measure that made it worse.
Oh my God.
But then once I did tell my bosses and everything, that was like such a huge relief because it was immediately they went and fired him like right away. It was like immediately taking my word and being like, okay, we want you to be safe. You're our priority. Let's get whoever needs to go out of this restaurant because that's not okay. And then like that made me feel a lot more safe, and it made me be like, oh, like I could have done this a long time ago and they would have taken my side. And like, but it's just about speaking out about what you need and want, and it's like scary to do that.
Yeah, you never know because like a lot of times your feelings are discounted. Like they don't. A lot of companies, they don't care. So it's lucky that they did take you seriously, but like you never know if you don't.
And then you feel like, oh, if I did say something and they don't do anything about it, then it's just gonna be worse because then I'm told.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful to like understand what the process actually looks like, because I never said anything about a couple of circumstances that happened because like I was like, oh, they're a top performer. Like they're going to protect that person. Like they're not going to just fire them because they make the company a fuck ton of money. Like why would they do anything about that? Or like they were just really, really drunk and they didn't know what they were doing. So like, are they just going to deny it the next day? Like,
I just never wanted to people, like with the bosses. Then it's like, okay,
I just never wanted to like get the attention for that. I was like, I would rather use it to my advantage and try and like just get put in rooms with other people because I'm like closer to those guys. But like, it does not help at all. But yeah. And another comment that was made was like, oh, you're really pretty, so you're gonna do well in like your position, or like you're good look, like here's like, you know, your qualifications, you're good looking, you're social, you're outgoing, you're extroverted, you know how to read a room. And I'm like, wait a second, the good looking thing is like not something you need to say. Like me being able to like communicate and like be good at conversation and stuff with people, that's like all you have to say.
Yeah.
And it's just like funny that that's just a typical, like I was told that so many fucking times and I'm just like, wait, I'm sorry, what?
I was told that too, or like that I have a nice smile, and my smile and that like my prettiness, or like telling other people like you guys need to smile more.
Oh yeah,
smiling. It's like
yeah.
I just saw a TikTok of this guy because I don't know if you guys have seen, but Target lately has had more like pride clothes and just
oh my god.
There's like a shirt and like in the boys section and the boys kids section, it's like a dinosaur and it has a rainbow on it, and people are like, why are they putting this gay propaganda in the children's thing?
That is the most frustrating fucking thing I've ever seen.
I know, but then this parent made a TikTok like in response to one of those of the people complaining about that, of how when he's had a daughter and a son, and like the type of gifts and things that people give to him, like his son, somebody gave his son a onesie that said like lock your daughters up, and somebody gave his daughters like, oh, he's gonna be a man killer, or somebody gave his daughter a onesie that said I hate my thighs.
What?
Like, it's like you're, as a baby, literal baby, you're being taught like, oh, this is how other people should perceive me, this is how I should perceive myself, from so little.
And people are like so upset about like having a freaking rainbow on a onesie, but like they put babies in onesies that literally sexualize them.
Yeah. And also rainbows are like a natural weather thing. Yeah. Like, I don't understand that.
Little kids like rainbows.
Like, that's the same thing as putting a cloud on a shirt.
Yeah.
I cannot. Insane.
But yeah, I just think that the gender roles are like very forced automatically. And I think it does help to like have separation of that and focus on like the qualities instead. And men can have feminine qualities and we can have masculine qualities.
I agree.
Anything else? I don't know what else to say.
No, I need to make some hot water and honey.
Your voice sounds cute, I think.
Oh my god, I'm like, I like have not had this type of like allergy before.
Are you taking like Allegra?
No, I should probably take something.
Oh, sure
I just thought it would. I'm like fairly certain it's not a cold, because it just like started happening when the like you can literally see the pollen like come off the trees. It's like it's like a, what's it called, like a mist looking thing, and it's like yellow, and I don't know. But I think it's just like irritating my throat because I'm like inhaling it. And then we did have like pretty bad air quality for like a couple days last week.
Is there fires?
There's a fire in Canada, and it like came down. That affected our air.
Oh, geez.
It was kind of weird. It's something. It's like the first time I really experienced it. So, I guess if there's like fires, in California, anywhere really, they like will like it that. It's just kind of like hazy and like smoggy looking.
The past 3 years, we've had to stay inside for over a week because of fires.
Really?
Yeah, like it's not good. Usually it's in August, which I'm so scared for the wedding. Like. I'd be so mad, and it like we wouldn't get any money back or anything.
Oh my god!
So everyone,
good vibes.
No fire in August 2024. Thank you. Thanks for listening to another episode of So Glad We're Friends. We will see you next week. Make sure that you join our Facebook community. Make sure you follow us on Spotify and leave a 5-star review. Same with Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.